a significant development from New Delhi. The Supreme Court today addressed the contentious issue of voter verification in Bihar. That's ahead of the upcoming assembly elections in the state. Now, the top court, led by Justices Sudhanshu Dhulia and Joy Malia Bagchi, it refused to halt the Election Commission of India's special intensive revision of SIR of electoral rolls. It called it a constitutional mandate. However, the bench raised several serious questions about A, the timing of this exercise, and it questioned why it's being conducted so close to the polls. The court also urged the Election Commission to consider including widely accessible documents like Aadhaar, voter ID, or ration cards for voter verification. It noted that the current list of 11 documents is not exhaustive. This comes, remember, after petitioners, including opposition leaders and organizations like the Association of Democratic Reforms, argued that the process could disenfranchise lakhs of genuine voters, particularly the poor and the marginalized, due to stringent documentation requirements and a tight July 25th deadline. Now, the next hearing of the court is scheduled for July 28th, with the Election Commission directed to file its response by July 21st. Now, as Bihar gears up for elections, this ruling definitely has sparked an intense debate, an intense row that has erupted with questions that are being raised that this exercise is being done to disrupt the democratic right to vote. But is that the case? Well, to discuss that and more, I'm now joined by Ravi Srivastava, who's a political analyst, joining us on the broadcast. Ravi, what do you make of the Supreme Court's hearing today? Of course, it is not going to put a stay, but definitely tough questions being asked by the Supreme Court. Do you agree with the opposition's charge that the exercise is marking a dent on voter rights and perhaps the timing is suspect?
Yeah, good evening, Sumita. The fact is that there were a lot of apprehensions till now, that a lot of lakhs of voters will be deprived of voting. And there was a big morcha yesterday, you must have seen, by the India bloc. Several parties assembled over there and they did a dharna, etc. And today the matter was in the Honorable Supreme Court. And the observations by the Supreme Court, because there is no order as such, but the observation by Supreme Court are quite damning. And they are asking some very tough questions to the Election Commission of India. The first thing is that the Election Commission's job is to get the poll done, but not the verification of a citizenship of a particular voter or something like that. And that is why Honorable Supreme Court has suggested that the documents like Aadhaar, like voter ID, like other things like even Manrega validation, all such things can be used for the verification, instead of insisting on that birth certificate and domicile or all such documents which are not easily available with the voters. But a lot of apprehensions were there regarding the exercise, because just a year before we had a parliamentary election with the same role, with the same electoral role. We had the same thing which we had in the month of January 2025 when the rolls were finalized. So what was the hurry? What was the reason for doing this SIR,
Right,
that intensive verification, etc.? And I think on 28th,
right,
when the matter comes up,
right,
so the Election Commission will have to answer some tough questions.
Right. Right, absolutely, sir, and very valid points that you're raising. These points have also been raised by the top court of the country, particularly with respect to timing of this exercise that's being conducted. But what's the way out for citizens if their names get excluded from this list, given that there's not much time left in Bihar elections? What are the other alternatives that are available for them? Has the party clarified those? What is the BJP looking at in case that's the case?
Will be a difficult exercise, because the Honorable Supreme Court has said that sufficient number of appeal and the personal audience with the person whose voter ID has been de-enfranchised or removed or something like that, enough of audience should be given to that person to prove his bona fides. So I think that will be a very difficult thing to do, and Election Commission will have to agree to this Aadhaar card, because Aadhaar card had been a bone of contention. That's a one document which is almost 98%, 99% of the country's citizens have it. So having Aadhaar card or having a voter card or having a ration card, I think those also will be added as a valid document for in this exercise, which is ongoing, that SIR exercise. And Election Commission will not be able to force upon that birth certificate or some other that 11 documents which they have mentioned about. So I think by 28th, Election Commission will definitely come out, because the 25th is the date when this exercise has to complete. And the court has said that, you can, there should not be any hurry just before the at the outset of the election. You can have this verification done for another 6 months or so, and let the election be carried out with the roles which are already
Right.
available. So all such things
Right.
will have to be verified. Yeah.
Right, so several questions being raised. Yes, sir. Several questions being raised with respect to this exercise. I'd request you to please stay on with us as we have to cut across to a bite of Rahul Gandhi. Let's listen into what he had to say when he alleges that the Election Commission is an agent of the BJP.
ये बीजेपी के नॉमिनेटेड इलेक्शन कमिश्नर हैं। ये देश की सच्चाई है और मैं बिहार के युवा से कहना चाहता हूं, ये सिर्फ आपसे वोट चोरी नहीं हो रहा है, ये आपका भविष्य चोरी हो रहा है। आपसे आपका जो आपका हक जो बनता है, जो रोजगार है, आपका धन है, ये सब आपसे चोरी किया जाएगा। ये चोरी नहीं होने देंगे और आपको बिहार के युवा को ये चोरी नहीं होने देनी है। और पूरा का पूरा इंडिया गठबंधन आपके साथ खड़ा है और हम ये चोरी कभी नहीं होने देंगे।
So voter rights are in danger. That's essentially the claim that's being made by Mr. Gandhi. And of course, the BJP has hit back stating that this is essentially drama just ahead of elections. But sir, let me ask you, let me bring this fact across that the Prime Minister's office had back in 2014 pushed for self-attestation of documents. And it stated that government will trust citizens and it promised to minimize the use of affidavits, etc. So has the thinking of the government now changed?
That's the only problem. As far as the voter ID is concerned, self-declaration had been in the vogue for last so many times since the election process has started. And instead of the verification process by the birth certificate or passport or matriculation or school leaving, all such documents were not mandatory. Self-declaration is the only thing which should be done. And why there is a change in stand by the Election Commission under pressure or for their own reasons, because Rahul Gandhi's statement is after, I think he quoted about the Maharashtra as well, because in Maharashtra, when the last moment some 8-9% polling had gone up, once bitten, twice shy, he is very careful about this Bihar election, so that the people are not, and fake voters are not added, and some kind of mischief should not happen in the election process. So he is very careful about it, and that's the reason that entire opposition is up in arms.
Okay.
In Bihar, you have seen that yesterday. Yeah.
Correct. Correct, sir. So now let's also look at the EC's claims. EC states that this is essentially the purification of electoral rolls and it's a valid act. But there are questions that are being raised currently around citizenship, which analysts say and experts say that this, as per the Supreme Court, is MHA's domain.
Timing is the essence, because that whole thing, doing in a very compact time frame, because elections are due sometimes in the month of October or November. So, forcing the exercise at this stage is creating a lot of suspicions in the minds of people. And they say that, well, if you want to do it, the MHA can do it. But then MHA and EC are two different bodies. The Election Commission has a different role to play. This what the people in Bihar, what they are saying is, this is a kind of an NRC from the back door. So this is what apprehensions are, and that is why this is being resisted by the entire opposition. Yeah.
Okay. Right. So one final question to you, sir, before we wrap up this discussion. Who is in panic mode at the moment with respect to their poll performance? Is it the opposition or the BJP for the state of Bihar?
I think that Election Commission has got a lot of homework to do now, because this, as far as the Supreme Court observations are there, they have not ordered it, but they have put up the observations to accept other documents as a verification for the completing the rolls or verifying the SIR exercise, whatever they call it, intensive verification. Whatever they have in mind, they should complete it as fast as possible with these revised documents which Honorable Supreme Court has suggested. So I don't think any kind of a panic will be there, but I think it's considered to be a partial victory by the opposition, where they have imposed upon the Government Election Commission to follow the procedure of Aadhaar card and other documents as well.
Right, sir. And the matter is not done yet. This political storm is going to continue to brew even as the next hearing is slated for July 28th. We'll have to see what the outcome of that hearing is. But Mr. Srivastava, thank you very much for joining us here on this broadcast live.
Thank you.